Chavez, coming at you today with a VeVe. Well, actually, Omi is my homie. Update stream with my co-host Crypto Rain, and Dr. Stuff was just here, but he pulled a Houdini, and he is currently not here. I want to say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. We're just going over the fact that USA wins the gold in hockey. I know it's a couple days old now, but we only meet once a week. So, oh, there he is. There's the man, the myth, the legend.
Yo.
Drop stuff.
I can't hear you guys.
I can hear you. How's it going?
I can hear you. Uh-oh.
Oh,
we lost again. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stay tuned. So, in the meantime, lots of good stuff to talk about today.
Absolutely. I forget what I texted you, so I'm going to go to there right now. Oh, yes. What is it? It is the last week of February, and the last couple days, actually. Hopefully, we can make it count with work, getting stuff done. But so we are a little bit more than halfway through the first quarter of the year. What do you make of 2026 so far? It's been going down.
Yeah. So, well, what's funny is I had a friend totally predict this based on a source he knows that's really, really in the U.S. banking higher-ups. Told him on October 9th that he might want to close out any longs, and the next day Bitcoin crashed. Then later he's like, yeah, February, Bitcoin's going to bottom, and then it will start an uptrend. So, damn, like he shared that with me and my private audience in January. And I was like, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. And sure enough, he's been right on track.
Doc, can you hear us?
I'm good now. I unplugged my hub and then plugged it back in, and now it works. So
all right, sweet. That's what happened. Yeah, my internet's been a little iffy. I got booted a couple times before earlier, so hopefully we'll see what goes down. What's going on, everyone? In the comments, Arcturus, Smart Buy, Bill Gardner, Crypto God. That's a great name. Tell me, where are we heading to? Someone saw my bull. I lost it for many years. Yeah, a lot of people are not that bullish here. Actually, me and Rain were talking about this a bit before, where a lot of people kind of either haters or people that feel sorry for themselves talk about how much people are down in this market. And it doesn't have to just be OMI. It could be like, whatever. I mean, what was Solana, like 210 not that long ago? It was like $80 now. So it's not just, the alts that are down. It's the main alts. It's the big stuff. And Michael Saylor and Tom Lee are down about 9 and 8 billion with a B dollars respectively. So when you hear people complaining about the 10, 20, 100K that they're down, like obviously you have empathy for people, but big swings are very par for the course, even in the major stuff. And again, you have some of the most brilliant people in the world that can afford to lose almost $20 billion collectively. And I mean, we don't know what they're like behind closed doors, but they seem pretty chill. They're still buying. They haven't lost the conviction. The thesis hasn't changed, although you do have Vitalik Buterin going in and selling some of his ETH, although it's just a couple million every few days. It's not like he's selling his entire position. But what do you guys make of that? That a lot of times that people seem to that can't take the heat, they get out of the kitchen and they just exit completely from the. Sometimes that could be the right move if it's on the way down and then you save yourself 80-90%. Sometimes they sell at the absolute wrong time, sell at the bottom. What do you guys make of the people that are selling right now?
They're crazy. Right now, sentiment is really, really down, more than any time I can remember. Now, back in October 10th, when things crashed before, the fear and greed index was this low. And then it's come back down, and it's even lower than it was then. And this is a good thing, not a bad thing. If you look back historically, whenever fear and greed was this low, look back at the price history and see if that was a good time to sell or a good time to buy. And you'll see historically, it was an amazing time to buy. And if you were selling in that, it usually went really bad for you, really bad for you. And they don't understand this game. There's reason why Michael Saylor, like, sure, does this feel good? I'm sure it doesn't. But if you're using a dollar cost strategy in good long-term assets, you're going to be down a lot of the time. Why? Because when the ups happen, they happen very abruptly. So, like, the big runs in crypto happen over like 6% of the timeline. And so just know that generally it's going to seem like you're wrong, and you'll be measuring your portfolio and how far down it is from what you put in. And that's normal. That's what this looks like. Unless you just magically happen to jump in right at the bottom of something and you put all your funds in that day, which never happens. So some people, they really expect that they're going to be able to do that. And if it doesn't play out that way, they just get wiped out from this game. They don't realize, like when I share the Axie Infinity story, it's so relevant here. And even though most of you may have even heard this, you didn't really get it. And even now you might not fully get it until things turn around. But Axie Infinity, I bought in January 2019. I bought a bunch of land in Axie Infinity. I put about $4,100 in, which for me was a lot of money back then. And for the next 2 years, it just went down. And it was like the running joke. And I did buy a little bit more along the way, but it was the running joke from my wife, like, where's your portfolio at? And it was measured in what percentage of it is it versus what I put in, because it just kept going down. And what's funny is it ended up being a huge, huge gainer for me. But for 2 years, it just seemed like such a dog and such a loser. And you know what's funny to me is only one other person that I'm aware of that bought back when I did made money from that, because most people sold when it was way down. There were even 2 times where I was unsure if Axie Infinity was going to have to close their doors. It was that close to failure twice. And yet when things flipped it around, I didn't even end up buying at the bottom. I bought when they initially launched their land sale. So I bought at those prices. So I was nowhere near the bottom that I bought at. And it did 100x up from where I bought it at when I sold. It did 3,000x from where I bought it. And yet almost everyone who bought, like 98% of the people that bought when I bought, they made no gains. They all suffered losses from it. Why? Because they didn't stay in the kitchen when it got hot like this. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't take it. Axie Infinity sucks. I'm out. They're failing, blah, blah, blah. And all this talk. And I didn't have a YouTube channel back then. I was just an investor like most of you. And I was like, well, they may fail, but they're still working and they haven't failed yet. And if I were to sell now, why would I even sell now? I'd be down so much. I might as well ride this to the death or to like paradise, but it's going to one of those. And sure enough, it worked out. And it doesn't always work out, but you only need a certain percentage of your portfolio to go like that, that even if your other ones fail completely, that you get a few that do 100x for you. And that's if you sold early 100x. If you had rubbed the whole road through, you could have gotten 1,000x or even 3,000x and saved your whole portfolio. So we're in that kind of time frame. And you know what? I know some more people capitulated this last big drop and they just couldn't take it. And all they could see is the losses. And it's like, look at the fear and greed index. Look at when it went this low. Was that a good time to buy or a good time to sell? Now, I remember the bear market and Michael Saylor. And Michael Saylor had bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin at 30,000, 35,000. What did it bottom at? 14,000. There were endless stories about how it was going to go to 2,000, how it was going to go to 4,000. Michael Saylor's going to go broke, and blah, 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 blah. And then it went to 65,000. Then it broke upwards to 125,000. Oh, Michael Saylor's a genius, blah, blah, blah. Now let's come back down. Oh, Michael Saylor's going to go out of business. He gets the long term. He didn't wash out when it went from 35,000 he'd been buying at down to 14,000. Guess what? Now you see that 35,000 was just buying price. Didn't feel like it when Bitcoin went to 14,000. So you may be saying, yes, but OMI's not Bitcoin. It's like, well, duh. It's a different investment vehicle. But let me ask you, has VeVe failed? Or VeVe is still alive and ticking even in a bear market? Oh, it's alive and ticking in a bear market. Their token price way, way down? Yeah, it is. And right now, it just seems like, oh my gosh, it's just gone down 0001. You know, I bought it that, and I'm down so much from that. And it's like, it feels like it now. Just like when Michael Saylor was buying Bitcoin at 35,000. Bitcoin didn't die like all the critics said it was going to, and eventually caught some traction, went up to 125,000, and Michael Saylor looked like a genius. So many people are going to wash out. And this is why the numbers work out, is 95% of people don't make money, meaningful money, or they flat out lose money in crypto. And this is why. When these kind of things happen, they sell into that because they're scared and they don't hold through it. And it's like, so they got to take the full ride down without getting to take the ride up. And it's like, okay, I can share with people how to do this, but no, it's not easy. And a bunch of people won't be able to do it. That's okay. You don't get to make decisions for anyone else but you. So are you going to wash out when everyone else is jumping ship? I'm not. If I had, I wouldn't be here. I would have washed out during the bear market in 2018, 2019, then 2020. 2020 seemed like the bull run was never going to come. People didn't talk about a 4-year cycle because there had only been one 4-year cycle shown so far. So I had this theory that it would be roughly a 4-year cycle. And that did play out, but most people didn't believe in that. Now everyone was saying, 4-year cycle, like everybody. Guess what? Didn't play out exactly like a 4-year cycle. So everyone's like, it didn't. And we're finally seeing this period. And I'll share with it a little bit more because I want to hear Doc's point on this. On where things are at sentiment-wise, it's actually a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Randy.
No, go. You go. We got something else up, but yeah, finish this subject, and then we got something else to talk about that right after. But yeah, you go now.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the people who are selling right now, right? And there's so many times where people have this idea of they're going to sell now and then buy back later. But what happens? What happens is they keep seeing it go down. And so they're like, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. And then it goes up and they're like, but it's going to go back down. And then I'll buy when it goes back down. And then it goes up a little bit more. And like, they just never buy. And honestly, when they buy back in, they buy back at a higher price point than they sold. Yep. Like, I mean, like I saw that happen so many times the last cycle. And people bemoaning it and like, oh, why did I do this? I understand why they did it. It's like I understand the logic behind it, but then the emotion overrides the logic because they get a little bit greedy. Is like I'm gonna wait until it gets lower. But you can't time it. And so for me, like my whole strategy has just been just dollar cost average. I've bought more only at these price points. I bought more Bitcoin. Listen, I just bought 5 figures at 76,000 Bitcoin, and I thought that was a great entry. Right. And now it's at 64,000 and I'm going to be buying some more, but like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Because the question I'm asking myself is, do I believe at some point Bitcoin, or do I believe at some point OMI is going to get higher than it is right now, or higher than these other price points that I bought at? And the answer is yes. Like I do. And so I like, that's my strategy. And I'm not letting the emotion. Now I'm with you, Smart Buy, like, it is so emotionally taxing. I'll tell you what, man, it has sucked just to see it go down and go down. Now, the funny thing is there's been times where it's gone up and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right? But then I didn't sell at those points because I kept feeling I haven't seen this cycle. I haven't seen the euphoria that I've seen in these other cycles. And maybe we won't see that. I still think that we will. I think it'll just get to crazy amounts where people are just like, this is insane. But I'm with you. And that's the thing is there's so many people who have checked out. They're done. They sold. They're out. And like Ren was saying, like that is when like we're really starting to see that capitulation phase. Because I'm with Ren. Last year I was like, it's gonna happen in 2025, baby. Like, let's roll. At some point in 2025, it didn't happen. And I was just like, bro, I don't even know anymore. Like I'm done even trying to guess. And I'm just dollar cost averaging at these price points. But I do think that the people who have tried to sell and say that they're going to buy back in, the likelihood that that happens, very small that it happens. And so I think for me, and listen, this is my nerd side, but like also that messes with your tax status, right? If you're selling now, that restarts the whole capital gains thing. This if you're US, right? Like, and so let's say that you sell now and then you buy back in, but the problem is now, like if you've held that for over a year, or maybe you bought it and you've held it for 6 months, and then the bull run happens 6 months from now. Now you've got that year, and your capital gains tax is only 15%. But if you sold and then bought back in, and it happens in 6 months, now it's a 40%, right? So you're actually increasing your risk profile there on the taxes you're going to have to pay. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So I know you said smart buy, you're tired of seeing your portfolio being negative. In the last couple of minutes, Bitcoin's up about $1,000. I'm not 100% sure why, but I think we should celebrate the wins even when they're little, because we don't always get them. In fact, a lot of times we actually have a lot of losses. So again, I like to celebrate those little wins. There is speculation that because Trump is addressing or having a State of the Union address today, that there's probably going to be like the longest State of the Union ever. That's supposedly reports coming out of Washington about that. In the other news, we've got some people, and yes, hello everyone.
That's right, Leggy. That is the Scottish flag right there. That's fantastic. That's all I can say.
Smart Buy said we might have very crazy hyper announcements coming from. Yeah, I mean that's always possible with the reverse merger. I guess we'll get into that. Doc, were you here last week?
No, wasn't here last week.
Okay, can you tell us what your thinking is? Let's say the letter of intent is good. They do the reverse merger this week. They have until the 28th. They could announce it at any time that it's happening. In a fairly bullish scenario, not like super maxi, but what are some positives that you see coming out of this?
I would say positive is it gives VeVe a lot of eyes. And then people are like, what is VeVe? You know, what's happening there? And the stock price. And it's stock is another way for VeVe to increase their capital, right? Without having to sell OMI and hurt OMI holders that way. So that's one way to look at it there. I mean, there's definitely some risk there. I mean, a lot of reverse mergers don't happen. And a lot of reverse mergers, the company that merges and things, like it doesn't come out great, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it does, right? And so you're going to have to see if people are going to want to inject some additional capital in that with the new structure and what's going on there and want to take on that risk. And one of the reasons they would want to do that is because now there's a stock ticker that, where you have access to capital markets that way. So it's a bold play, like I'll put it that way, and I mean, I'm kind of waiting. I'm cautiously optimistic is how I put it. But in a good scenario, basically VeVe gets injected with additional capital there as you get some investors who are very interested at these price points. Because VeVe is going to get the stock, right? They're going to kind of be the owners of the new formation. So they'll have stock, and then they can sell some of that ownership share if necessary to continue moving. And again, that's a way to do that without hurting the OMI price. So
there's a question. I guess this is something that we should think about with ledgers being public, and obviously not everybody has a public address. Like that, you kind of can if you have a Stacker wallet. Like there's a lot of whales that are going on Stacker, and they're buying OMI. I was talking to one before, and he's like, yeah, I had 500 million OMI. Now I have 350 million because I've just been buying the stuff on Stacker. I was like, me too. I've been buying a lot also. So if you have a Stacker wallet and you're active on there, they know at least that particular address, and from there they might be able to determine, okay, where are they getting this USDC from, how much they have. Do you ever worry that either the fame gets too much or the money gets too much, and at what point do you hire security because maybe you could be a target? Now I feel like people probably aren't targets unless they're worth like in the 9 figures, but do you guys ever worry about that in like the 8-figure mark?
You start to be a target at 8 figures. By 9 figures, definitely. Don't go to
7
Russia.
figures, not so much.
Don't go to UK. Don't go to Russia. Don't go to Europe. Some Russian mobster will come visit you. Ask you how many fingers you want to keep.
That is one of the drawbacks if you're flaunting your wealth, right? And especially crypto wealth. If you don't have security team, I mean, because crypto, like it can just be transferred. Like if a lot of your holdings are at a bank, like that's so much bigger risk, because wire transfers, all of the security that they have around that, it's so much more difficult to transfer that money. But it's in freaking crypto, and they'll transfer it. It's gone. They can wash that super quick, So you're definitely, if you're flaunting your crypto status as a freaking mega whale, you are definitely putting yourself at high risk. I am not in that category. So,
but whoever's got Bitcoin just went up $2,000 in the last few minutes, up to 66.2. Let's go.
Hey, sweet man, because I bought in I put in some more at 65 yesterday. So, hey, I'm up a little bit with what I put in, but still down from that $76,000 entry point.
Yep, now it's going to crash because Doc just bought in. That's just the way it works out. As soon as you put money in, it goes down on you. If you understand the long-term vision, it's like, look, if you could go back during the bear market and you could buy OMI, like when it first launched, you'd see that OMI token dropped a ton since then. And was it still a good price? Well, yeah, compared to what it did in March of 2021, it was an amazing price. And then it's come back down tremendously, not to the lows of last bear market, but it's like 5 or 10x away from the lows of the last bear market. So it's come back on bargain price. Will VeVe and OMI, therefore OMI, survive until the coming bull run? Yeah, I think it will. So is it a good deal? It's an amazing deal. And yet, because it's such an amazing deal, so many people are going to pass it up. I did want to give some people some insights because I know many of you, this is your first bear market, like real bear market after you've been investing for a while. And you haven't had a bear market and then the bull market follow it yet. And what's funny is like 2025 went like, what was interesting is it seemed like the 4-year cycle would continue. Bitcoin did its halving. Bitcoin was running up the year following the halving. So that was on track. What we were missing is lower interest rates and higher monetary supply coming in, or money supply growth coming into the market. So Bitcoin went up, but there was no real altcoin season. And so Bitcoin's now come down after hitting less than I think its peak price should be. And a lot of people are saying this, which I was hoping to hear last year. We didn't hear it last year. Finally hearing it this year, because 2020, it was generally believed that crypto was dead. Altcoins were never going to come back, and that like Bitcoin, when it went down back down to 3,800, it's like, oh, Bitcoin is dead. Alts are dead. They're never going to survive. They're all shit. It's all dead. And there were endless stories about how Bitcoin was going to hit 2,000 or 1,200 or $800. And that's all you could find on YouTube. And what it did was, if you said, oh my gosh, in the coming 9 months, crypto is going to do amazing, everyone just thought you were stupid and you didn't have a brain, because that was 100% contrary to what general sentiment was. What I didn't like about 2025 is it was generally accepted that everything was going to go crazy. And I was like, that doesn't feel right. Like it feels like it should go crazy this year in 2025, but everyone's expecting it. And it usually goes differently than everyone in crypto is expecting. So now look at what everyone's expecting. Bitcoin just to drop lower. No bull market. Oh my gosh, big crypto winter ahead. That is the general sentiment. You know what I'm going to tell you? They're all going to be wrong. Why? Because too many people believe that. When too many people believe it's going that direction, the opposite's going to happen.
Agreed. The cycles used to last about 4 years or so, we thought. Now we have determined that this one's just quite a bit different.
Well, what they don't understand too is like the 4 years happens to do with Bitcoin's halving, and we didn't know money supply growth was so important with it, and they happen to coincide. The year after Bitcoin's halving, when Bitcoin was going up, there was a huge amount of money supply growth in 2021 as well. So Bitcoin catapulted up even farther, and altcoins catapulted up even farther because there was tons of money like awash in the system. So we didn't get that last year. In fact, there was still quantitative tightening going on from the Fed, and we hadn't seen what it was like. So people like to think in very simplistic terms. Is there a 4-year cycle or isn't there a 4-year cycle? And it's like, I wish it was that simple. We have to look at the factors that drove the 4-year cycle, and we can say one of the major factors happened, but the other one didn't. And so what if instead of being 4 years, it doesn't happen till the year 5? Even at the beginning of year 6, when that second one really, really kicks in. In fact, that second one should really kick in about 2-3 months in May, when Jerome Powell is replaced by a new Fed chairman who's probably going to be a lot more towards lowering interest rates and quantitative easing. And then we'll really see what happens. But what I like right now is that so many people are bearish, and that is a great thing. Why I want the altcoin season to really happen. And with so many people bearish, that's the music to my ears. If you weren't around in March of 2020, you don't realize this sentiment is almost exactly the same as it was back then. And then look what happened since then.
The fear greed cycle, I think it's at like 5, because you have everyone going in and believing that, okay, there's war with Iran. There's I guess the other thing, most likely it's just the war with Iran, but it was ordered on, I think, 2 or 3 days ago, that and it happened to be the day that Prince Andrew was arrested in the Epstein stuff, so maybe it's a distraction. But that same day, Trump ordered the government to release classified files on aliens, UFOs, extraterrestrial life, and unidentified aerial phenomena. Around a month prior to that, you had the Bank of England that was warned to prepare for a market crash if the United States announces alien life. For whatever reason, they're not preparing for a market melt-up. They're preparing for a market crash. Ellen McCaw, who served as senior analyst in financial security at the UK Central Bank, sounded the alarm. She's now written to Andrew Bailey, the bank's governor, urging him to organize contingencies for the possibility that the White House may confirm we're not alone in the universe. Everyone laughed this off a month ago, but as of February 19th, Trump gives that order. Bullish or bearish for alien files being released?
I have no idea. I was listening to Dan Bongino, who served as the deputy director of the FBI, and he's like, look, some of the stuff I can't explain, but some of it, if you just Google parallax effect, you'll see that the video sudden of some of that stuff makes sense, how it seems to be moving so much faster than it is because of the parallax effect. I haven't done it, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, are there aliens? I don't know. Like, how much does it matter? Like, if we see some big planet moving towards us, like Unicron and like Transformers is going to eat our planet, that's very concerning. Or we see like somebody coming in being quite aggressive with like advanced warships, pretty concerning. If there's these aliens that do exist, they've been really docile, so cool.
Doc, your thoughts on it?
I miss your questions, bro. Aliens. Bro, like, here's my thing. Do I think that there are aliens or that there's anything really like out there that's crazy? I don't think so. And what would be the point? This is what I try to, okay, when I talk to like flat earthers, or I talk to people who think that there are aliens, and maybe there are, like I don't believe in a flat earth, but like maybe there are, you know, extraterrestrial beings out there, but there's a couple things, like 2 things that are in my mind. Number one is, if these aliens were so freaking advanced, right? Like, why wouldn't they just take us over? And or if they were peaceful, right? Like, but their technology was so advanced, they probably wouldn't be afraid of us, So they just come down and be like, "What's up? We want to be your pals. We're not really afraid of you. We've got advanced weaponry, and if you guys try to mess with us, we'll just, destroy you." Like, right? Like, so my thing is like, and let's say that they did find alien life. What's the purpose of hiding it from us? And I'm just trying to like walk through that, right? Like, and I think that again, when I talk to flat earthers, I'm like, so you're telling me that literally all of these scientists and all these people that like really fully understand all of this, they have all banded together to tell us this lie. But why? What purpose does it serve to say that the earth is flat instead of round? Like what? And there's never been a good answer for that as to why they would need to keep us in the dark about the earth being flat. Like it doesn't make sense to me. And the same thing with aliens. Like if they had found alien life and maybe there was just some things and they're like, oh, we're going to check this out just to see if we can learn additional technology. Like there's a couple reasons for that. But like, listen, if there's alien files, I don't think this could be anything that really blows our mind. Like that's where I'm at. Because again, if aliens were that advanced, they'd either take us over or they'd come and be like, hey, we want to start this communication with you guys. And I don't think that they would just like, where's your leader type thing, right? If they didn't, I mean, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it, man.
Yeah, there's Neil deGrasse Tyson did like a joke about this once. Say like, what if the perfect time for aliens to come down would to be at Comic-Con and they could just be themselves. They wouldn't need a costume. People would just think, oh yeah, they're dressing as an alien.
That's such a good alien costume. Holy cow, bro. Well done.
Thank you for bringing us down to earth. Yeah, so IV, we said, as we said before, there's no used to be kind of a 4-year thing, and now we're contingent on what happens next.
I think his question is, how long does the bull cycle? So like and I think what he means is the bull run. How long do you think the bull run will be, right? Like, is it gonna just be like a month of pump, and then it just all kind of crashes back down? Is it gonna be 2 months, 6 months? Like, I think that's his question.
Gotcha. So we can pull up some charts when
I got it down, guys. I just saw the time.
Okay, Doc, we love you.
I heart you all. You guys are amazing. Yeah, and we'll see you next week. All right, peace out.
I love you, Doc.
All right. So here's the fear and greed index overlaid in colors on the Bitcoin price. And so, look, if you're watching this on the phone, it's going to be a little bit hard to see. But you'll see when it went this red, and keep in mind right now we're at 11, but we were at 5. When it went that low in the past, so here is an 8 right here. Was this a good time to sell when it was an 8 or a good time to buy? Well, now you can see what happened after. When this went all the way down to a 14, was this a good time to buy or a good time to sell? Okay, so here it went to a 6. And guess what? It didn't stop there. So it went all the way to a 6 and then it dropped lower. So it dropped down to about 20,000 here. And then it went even lower. Later, it went all the way down to actually 13,800 before it then ran up. But look, anytime it's hitting this deep red, is it overall a good time to sell or a good time to buy? So right now it's showing an 11, but it's been at a 5. And so we don't have what happens after this. But just look on the chart, it going this red. Like if you had timed this perfectly, you could have sold it when it went really bad at like 22,000. And if you had timed it perfectly, you could have got back in at 16,000 if you had a magic crystal ball to disbelieve what everyone was saying, how it was going to go to 8,000 or 4,000. And you just knew, though they were saying that, it was going to stop here and you bought back in, you would have ended up ahead. But for you to do that, like, I've seen people try. I haven't seen almost no one hits that. where they sell when it's going, and then it ends up getting them ahead. Most time they're buying back their same stuff at a lot more than they sold it to. So I just hold for the longer term. So I dollar cost average and I just wait. So if you dollar cost average in Bitcoin, even if you had dollar cost averaged in at 58,000 in a whole bunch, now right now you're even still ahead. It may not feel all that exciting, but you were buying it at top way back here. And right now red indicates that it's going to turn around and it's going to go quite higher some point in the future. We don't know if it's going to be short term, but look in the past when it was that red here. And so there was still some trading sideways for a while before it really went up. There was here and it bounced like crazy. So this is March. And then by the next March, it was a whole different ball game. So it hit 60,000 almost a year later. From it actually bottomed here at 3,800 and went to 60,000 in 1 year. So notice when it was that red, and it's really only been that red here and close to as red here when it hit 7. So this was a longer run up. This one was very abrupt. And I think this one is going to be more in line with what happened here. That's what I suspect, because this has washed out sentiment completely and washed out so many people, and everyone is just sure that we're in for a prolonged bear market. And it's like, okay, we could be. I think because so many people believe that, it's going to be the opposite.
I want to thank you, Devil Kyle, for the super chat. Yes, do you think Trump has been good for crypto? Maybe this might be an unfair comparison here, but let's say you have somebody that's pretty overweight, and you have somebody. It's like, okay, you got to change your diet, you got to change, your lifestyle. Like you have to start walking, you have to start working out, and let's say the change of diet from high saturated foods and high sugar, and you change it to, okay, you're having meats, you get fat, but you're getting, change your diet, suddenly, you're on the toilet a lot. And it's like, oh man, this is awful. This does not feel good. You're working out, you hurt your shoulder at the gym. You hurt, like, it's like, man, see this, like, I was fine until I started changing my life for the better. And then I started blowing up the bathroom. I started hurting myself. It's like, okay, well, you might have done it wrong. And you just have an adjustment period that you have to do. While that adjustment period takes time, your body's going from doing stuff that's not good for it to something that is good for it. It has to adjust. I think what's happening, what Trump has been doing, is probably going to be good for the long term. Getting the legislation passed, getting a lot of, I don't want to say just illegals, because if you're just illegal, that's one thing, but getting violent illegals out. I was doing this tariff war. Like, the U.S. was not having a fair tax that it was paying, like the tariffs. And I know it's not really Trump's fault for it. This goes back, I think, to like the Bush administration, where NAFTA and everyone agreed on this. But the U.S. signed off on these tariffs years ago, well before Trump was in, and he's trying to fix them. And long term, I think that's a good thing. But short term, yeah, he is. If you cherry the data from the time Trump gets in till now, he has been the worst. There's not that many presidents that have been in for crypto, but he has been the worst president. Everything he has done has had a negative effect in the short term. So you have people that I'm assuming will clip that, like, oh, Chavez says Trump is bad for crypto. And short term, yeah, his actions have been bad. Just like the fat guy that changes his diet, he starts doing stuff. See, all the good stuff that I've been doing, supposedly, been really bad. Actually, it's just, you might have done stuff wrong and your body has to adjust. Like, you can't just do a 180 and expect things to not get wonky before they get better. No, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. Rain, what are your thoughts on if Trump has been good for crypto?
Well, a lot of the 2021 run happened, like Gary Gensler was barely coming in and starting to implement any of his policies when 2021 happened. And so it's like, I like how people are like, oh yeah, Biden was good for crypto. It's like, Biden wasn't good for crypto. He put in Gary. It was the most anti-crypto administration ever. In fact, had they been in there a year and a half prior, 2021 would have been way worse. But Biden's policies hadn't had an effect or impact. And Gary Gensler coming in and suing all these crypto companies, trying to put them out of business, didn't happen until like the bull run was already in full swing and everything and going crazy. And so it's like his impacts hadn't been felt until then. And so like the truth is like Biden was terrible for crypto. Now, I don't like that Trump's family launched the Trump meme coin. That was terrible. I don't like it. The Melania meme coin, didn't like. That's not sure. That's like a meme. Number one, I'm not a big fan of meme coins anyway. I get that people like to gamble with them, and they're just a different form of gambling, and people want to have fun with them. That's totally fine. So technically, that is crypto. I wish there were this whole other category for that, but they're all mixed in together. Great. Don't like that he did that like shortly before taking office and everything, and you know, he's like, oh, I wasn't involved. That was my son. Whatever. I really wish they hadn't done that. That wasn't good. Overall, though, like Trump is clearing the way and leading like a pro-crypto sentiment. And I think the U.S. does become the crypto capital of the world. That never would have happened under Gensler Biden. Like there wouldn't be all the investment money coming in. And I think your analogy of like changing your diet, and in the short term, everything sucks because you introduce all this turmoil and everything, but the changes are for the better. And so the long run is going to be quite good. I think that's a perfect analogy. So I think long term, you know, we'll see that Trump's policies were awesome in general for crypto, except for the meme coin thing, which I wasn't a fan of when they did it. And I'm still not a fan of now, because that actually flipped a lot of Democrats to being like anti-crypto, that they were kind of partial, but then they're like, oh, Trump is doing his own meme coin. We need to look more good. And they didn't like seeing Trump's family make money on it. So they went from somewhat neutral, maybe against crypto, to being strongly opposed to crypto because Trump made money from it. They didn't. And so I would have preferred they hadn't done that, because that just created more opposition with the opposite parties, political parties, people than there needed to be, which has made clarity harder to pass because of that.
I do want to push back on one thing where you had mentioned that Biden was terrible for crypto. I agree that he was terrible for all of the legitimate businesses that wanted to do stuff with crypto. Like they wanted to say like, hey, here's our, I mean, even DEVVE had to introduce a new, like create a whole new company because the minting of the tokens and the spending of the tokens, they like had to be completely in separate companies.
Cost them so much more in regulatory costs just to try to play within the very undefined rules.
Yeah, it was insane. So again, for the legit crypto companies, or the companies that were using crypto, yes, he was absolutely horrible. But the other policies that was in, or that was in under him, as far as just government spending, like when the government spends and you have a bunch of money injected into the market all the time, is it good for the dollar long term? No, you print more of the supply, then obviously the value of the dollar goes down. But man, the idea that, you know, I feel like a lot, it happens with Democrats a lot. Like when Obama was in, we had interest rates near zero. And was that good for the overall health of the dollar? No, absolutely not. Because again, you just print money with the quantitative easing. The value of the dollar goes down. But man, were people making money hand over fist when he was in. So I feel like even though the president themselves probably weren't good, the policies that were in under them happened to have a effect on the people that were making money on crypto. You can tell me I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear why. But I just have that's just how I see it. And if there's another way to look at it, please let me know.
Well, Obama walked into a crisis that I won't blame Obama for, that during the Bush years, it started under the Clinton years of we need to give people loans. We need to give minorities loans, was this big policy push in the U.S. And it's like, well, the bank said, I'm sorry, we don't care what the race is. We're just looking at credit score. Well, why don't you lower the credit limit so we can have more minorities get? It's like, well, because we'll lose money. Well, what if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bought those loans from you? Okay. So we'll just resell them to you. So we'll make loans to people with a 560 credit score and you'll buy them from us. Okay, we'll do that. So then they started writing those loans. So people who couldn't qualify before because their credit was so bad could now qualify. And so then that just boomed the market because there's such an injection of cash. And so then that went even further. You could do no income, no asset loans that, you didn't have you didn't have to show your assets. And so then real estate values just went crazy, which was the house of cards that was eventually going to fall. And that started crashing in like 2006. I blame like John McCain. Who was it? There were 2 Democrat senators who were like big time behind it. Bernie, whatever his name was, not Bernie Sanders, some weirdo guy. That was over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It was like, well, there's no problem here, blah, blah, blah. And like, anyway, it crashed. And of course, it was bad economic setup. So then, Obama, that crash was already happening before Obama. And then Obama came in and, he took a crash and made a further disaster by like, oh, okay, we're going to raise taxes and we're going to do all this and we're going to save the economy with the government. More government means more fairness. And it's like, so it shot an already dying dog again, right? And it crashed it further. And then it's like, so interest rates went to like 0. Why? Because the economy was so bad because the government was going to come in and fix it. And I believe Reagan when he said the worst things in the American or English language are we're the government and we're here to help. And Obama's like, no, I'm going to show you that doesn't work. Or, we're the best. When we're the government, we do it right. And introduced Obamacare and all this stuff. And the government's going to save you this time. We'll do it for real. And it's like, yeah, we're seeing how the healthcare costs in the United States keep going through the roof. Obamacare costs 10 times more than he said it would. And he promised all you would do is have more choices. And if you want to be on government, it'll be cheaper. And if you want to keep your existing plan, all the while he knew he was lying to you. He knew that your existing plans would go away and that Obamacare would be far more than what they told you. So that's exactly what happened. So then that crushed the economy. So therefore, interest rates went to 0. Now, it's not Biden's fault that COVID shut down. Like, he worsened it. He made the shutdown longer. But, like, I don't think Biden was behind COVID shutting down the world economy. And so guess what? Interest rates came way down because the economy needed to be ignited. And so interest rates coming way down is great for crypto. So is that Biden? Kind of. Like, he shot the dead dog again. Like, it's already bad. And he's like, you can't go anywhere if you don't have a vaccine. And it's like, oh my gosh, which just made things worse. So yeah, bad policies made the economy worse, which made interest rates go down further, which is good for crypto. Plus, it seems like the Fed is way more political than they should be.
Yeah,
like
100%.
There's a lot of reason to believe they should have brought down the interest rates a lot more. Now, you might say it's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. They just hate Trump. And it's like, that could be the case, that they don't like his personality or whatever. But it's not just the Fed chairman who votes. And there's a whole bunch of political appointees that do vote on that. And a whole bunch of them were put in by Biden and Obama. In fact, the majority of them. And they keep voting to keep interest rates higher than I think they should be. It's higher than Europe and a lot of other places are by 2%. So, like, what the hell? So having this new board chairman in should help. There's another person or two. I don't know if he's been successful replacing, which will be some critical swing votes. And hopefully interest rates can come down by another 2%. And you will see the economy rev. And a lot of that will translate into crypto running really hard.
Agreed. I hope we get crypto running hard this year. Text files talking about how corporations wolves led by one man who has the power to swing markets with just a word. Nothing about insider trading. Think about insider trading on steroids. Trump in office. There's always been insider trading. I think they actually had one of the bills that didn't pass to try to get Congress to stop trading. It was called the Pelosi Act because she's like notorious for that. So yeah. Again, it's on both sides. And honestly, I don't even know if you could track it down.
The real way to fix this is term limits. Yes. Term limits. you know, you can be a senator for 2 terms. You can be a House of Representative member for, say, 4, 5, or 6 terms. But after that, like, you're done. And so, like, you can't go from Nancy Pelosi style, Mitch McConnell style, because you know who's outperformed Nancy Pelosi? Mitch McConnell. So this isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. This is a Washington thing. And so the longer they're in Washington, the more they're going to have the systems and their power figured out, and the more they're going to cheat on things. So don't let them be in Washington their whole lives. And they have rules for everyone else and then rules for them. If you create a system where they can't be in Washington for forever, so they're then going to have to compete on the same rules everyone else does, they'll stop passing rules for thee but not for me, because they're going to have to go back to regular day life and live under those same rules they're passing for everyone else. So term limit them. And this is something my most conservative and most liberal friends all agree on. The only problem is the people who don't agree on this is most of the sitting House of Representatives and most of the sitting senators. And I think outside of that, it's like 85% of Americans believe in term limits for the House and Senate. It's just like maybe 15% of the House and Senate believes in term limits for themselves. They're like, wait, no, I'm here. I'm in, you know, I'm just going to ride this out for 35, 45 years and do the insider trading thing so I can leave with $100 million too.
The thing that Congress always vote yes on is to raise their own pay and to be able to, or I guess they vote for sure on to raise their own pay and then to not have term limits. Hopefully at some point we do get those. We shall see.
Here's how you fix the system. You trick them with a really big piece of candy. Now, I think they pay the House and Senate too little, because you cannot survive in Washington on what they pay them without being corrupt or without already being rich. So that means if you're not corrupt, the only chance of surviving Washington is you came in already rich. But if you're already rich, why the hell would you, especially if you're going to do things right, are you going to go through the fire that you're going to go through to do things right by going to Washington? So, yeah, there are a few of them. Like, I'm a big fan of Devin Nunes, who was there for a while. He was already rich before he went there. But you've created now a system that is super corrupting. So say somebody gets there and they have good intention. They go there and it's like, okay, you make $250,000 a year. And it's like, wow, the public schools in DC are terrible, like terrible. Some of the worst in the nation. Oh, okay, I need to send my kids to private school. Oh, $80,000 a year for private school? Well, I can't afford that. The housing prices there is $1 million for a tiny little house. I can't afford that on $250,000. And then they find out, and it's like, hey, don't worry about the house thing. You know what? You know, just help us with this bill, and we're going to give you a board seat on Walmart, and, you know, that pays you like $1 million a year. And you're like, crap. So here's how you fix the term limit problem. Congress, Senate, we will give you a 4x raise over what you're making now. So you make $1 million a year. If you'll also put term limits in there. And it's the Mexico cop problem. Why are so many of the cops in Mexico corrupt? It's because you can't afford to not be corrupt and be a cop in Mexico. They get paid so little that you can't raise a family on it in Mexico. So one of the ways they solve this in the US, they just pay them better. And it lessens their corruption. So this is part of why Washington corrupts so much, is because they don't make enough to make a living in Washington without some kind of like favors and corruption, or finding some end around it that it's corrupt, but it might not be illegal, but you know it's corrupt. So pay them 4 times more. You'll solve some of the corruption problem. Term limit them, and you will solve a whole bunch more of it. That's how you fix Washington, D.C., is give them both. Pay them more. I know it, but if you think about it, what is the cost of corruption with the politicians in D.C.? $1 trillion, $10 trillion, who knows? It's gigantic. How much would it really cost to pay 100 senators and whatever House number 300 and whatever, however many House members there are, 500 something, to pay them quadruple the pay? It's a drop in the bucket compared to the corruption that they redirect funds so that they can siphon some of it back to themselves. So fix the problem by paying them 4 times as much.
But what's his name was doing from FTX, who's Trump is not pardoning, by the way. Sam Bankman-Fried. So
that dude,
yeah.
that dude, he was talking to Gary Gensler all the time. I think Gary Gensler was like, you know what, you're giving to all the right people. You know, can you do a Mr. Burns impersonation? Because he looks like Mr. Burns to me. You're paying all the right people. I see that you got good intention for everyone. So, you know what? We're going to green light everything you do. You know what? Call me whenever you need, Mr. Sam, and I'll take care of you. And we'll make sure you don't have any problems with the SEC. Everyone else, we're going after them, but you're donating like $100 million to my friend. So I got you covered. Yeah, we'll take care of you. That's what it seemed like Gary Gensler and Sam Bankman-Fried. It's like, oh, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase can't reach Gary Gensler, but Sam Bankman-Fried, anytime Gary, you know, he needed Gary was right there for him. And just after the facts, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know he was such a fraud. I didn't know he was misusing people's funds. It's like, I think you didn't care because he was giving all your friends money.
Abe says we are wrong, and that King Newsom knows what we need.
Clearly.
You can have that opinion, Abe.
King Newsom for king of the world. Absolutely. Make America California.
Oh God. Okay. As per Smart Buy, bringing it back to VeVe, Conrad Smith was a senior product leader at VeVe. He has since made a post on LinkedIn saying he's looking for work. And for me, I don't believe you do. Like, if you're posting on LinkedIn saying you're looking for work, I don't believe it was your choice to leave VeVe. A lot of times, like girls or sometimes guys, like, you don't say like, hey, I think we need to see other people unless you're already seeing someone else. It looks like VeVe might have broken up with him, and it doesn't seem to be any bad blood or anything. It might just be that stayed his course. He's maybe getting paid too much because, again, senior product leader at VeVe. A lot of the stuff that it used to be really hard to do now is still hard, but a bit easier with some junior lead people and Claude or ChatGPT or whatever. I think that might be what's happening. I feel like you have a bit of a leaning out because everything they're doing is about to be public. They have to lift their skirts and show, hey, where's this money going? Where's this capital allocation? And if they're paying people a little too much when they could pay them a little bit less, that they might be doing some restructuring. This is just my opinions, though. This is just my theories. Rain, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I was listening to this podcast of this billionaire who's running, a company, and he's like, I'm laying off 80% of my programming staff because 20% that have gotten really good at AI can outperform all of them. And so I'm laying off 80% of like my senior people, especially because I'm paying them so much. And a junior person who's really gotten a hold of AI can outcode them by a ton. And so he's like, I'm going to take 80% off my bottom line of my programming staff. So maybe that has something to do with it here. I don't have any insider information about whether it does or not. But if you're just a regular programmer and you haven't figured out how to use Claude to leverage your skills, your job is in danger.
I have said it before that AI is probably not going to take your job, but somebody using AI will probably take your job if you yourself are not learning to be fair.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, I got off the phone with a decent sized OMI whale, a little bit a big VeVe whale as well, and he'd spent a lot of OMI recently on Stacker, and I've spent a bit as well, maybe like 10 million OMI. RB says, Randy, did you buy this comics from Sleepin'? Yeah. So I've been going live pretty much every day and be like, all right, guys, what am I buying today? And then I'm just don't want to buy. And it is addicting. It is fun. Because like there's OMI can, I don't want to say can always go lower, but crypto in general, as long as you have a multi-million-dollar market cap, OMI is like 35 million. That can go a little bit lower. But a comic being sold for 84 cents, I guess it could go lower, but it's just, I feel like the VeVe and certain the VeVe NFTs have bottomed out. So that's why I've been buying there. and I'm hoping I can replace that OMI for cheaper. Now, I might not be able to. Maybe that 10 million OMI that I just spent, maybe it goes crazy, and you know what? Maybe I should have kept that 10 million OMI, and I don't get a chance to replace it. That's a risk that I'm taking. Rain, do you have any retorts on this? Any thoughts of like, hey, you might be right, Randy. I haven't thought of it that way. A lot of VeVe NFTs might have bottomed, especially if they're going for, 84 cents for a first appearance Hawkeye, something like that.
Yeah, I have a hard time selling OMI to buy things. So sometimes I'm just putting money in and buying some of the comics. Like, I think some of these comics are just like such amazing steals. And it's like, look, OMI's an amazing steal right now. Oh my gosh, if they do some of the things they're considering doing to the OMI token as far as utility, like OMI is going to be so big. So some things that not confirmed, just some considerations of what they're talking about or thinking about, be like, that would be a really big deal. Even if not, like OMI is still amazingly undervalued in my opinion. So it's like VeVe is undervalued. And some of the question you have to ask yourself is, in the crypto space, we're really just early stage business investors, specifically in the Web 3.0 space. So the bigger question is, are digital collectibles going to be a massive thing in the future? And if the answer to that is yes, well, VeVe is perfectly positioned for that to do well. And that will likely go extremely well for some of these collectibles, some of these comics, and probably for the token associated with it. When? Well, I think it's going to happen this year, but it may not. My strategy is just dollar cost average when everyone's pooing on it and saying it's the worst thing ever and I'll never survive. And then when everyone is FOMOing in like crazy and Andre Chick makes his next big video about, I just bought $250,000 worth of OMI, maybe that's the time to sell. Because he actually did that right at the top of OMI, which is funny. So I like Andre Chick. He's actually a really cool guy. He just like piled into OMI when like after it had gone like, I don't know, like 1,000 or 2,000x. And he didn't really understand crypto that way yet. But he wasn't wrong that OMI at some point, I think the token price is a lot higher than 1.4 cents, which is what's its previous highs. It just didn't play out like he thought it was going to do in the short term. But from like now it's come back 99%. So it's super on sale from there. And I think OMI is going to be a really big deal. So spending OMI for VeVe comics is like, I can't hardly do that unless I replenish the OMI right away, because maybe it's cheaper buying through OMI, because I'm so addicted to OMI, which is why we created the show. OMI is my homie. Like, I think OMI is one of the coolest undervalued tokens in the crypto space, that you're combining like, what is the risk that this fails versus what is the upside if this does well. And so I just think the risk for it failing is so much lower than most crypto companies, yet the potential upside is still so very high that I like the combination of those two things on OMI. It's one of my favorites in the crypto space. And so I'm excited where the future for this goes. I think the leadership behind VeVe is amazing. I've seen them make, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I was a little bit concerned about some of the decisions and the app not being updated. They have fixed all that. Like, I love the updates that they do. So much of what they're doing, it's just so many of the internal problems behind the app that were going on 3 years ago. We're light years ahead of that. Like, we keep getting positively surprised by things. The only thing we're waiting for now is the reason why OMI's price sucks and VeVe is near as cheap as it is because we're just still not in an altcoin market. When we hit that altcoin bull run, then digital collectibles come to the limelight again, and then everyone's FOMOing in, and all those celebrities will be talking about it, and that's a good time to sell, not a good time to be buying more.
Hell yeah. Be advised, Booth. Andre Jick did not sell. Andre Jick has been hot. He did the 250, and then he did another big buy like a year or so later, maybe 2 years later, and he has not sold. So you're wrong on that. VeVe. Be advised that OMI currently has more utilities than 99.99% of all of crypto. But But to answer your question, yes, they do have more plans for it. They're always going to have more. There's always other things that you'll be able to do. How much of those plans get actually put into effect, we're not sure yet. Maybe at some point. I do think they'd want to take care of this reverse merger first, and then hopefully if they go and that goes smoothly, then maybe they can focus on. That's the other thing. You have two options at play here. You have one option where we start with negative. They say like, hey, listen, we can kind of talk about OMI before, but we have shareholders now, we have earnings calls now, we will always still have utility for the token, but we're just going to not talk about it really as much as a public company. Or the opposite happens, and they say like, yeah, we have like they could talk about on every earnings call, we have a full OMI reserve and OMI treasury, and we're taking our profits and we're buying back some OMI. And again, like hyper bullish and hyper bearish, probably going to be somewhere in between. Which way do you think they lean? Which way do you think they go?
We'll get more regulatory clarity coming up, and maybe it'll be more defined what they can and can't do. Keep in mind, like bigger companies that have like legal advisors, a legal advisor always going to tell them to be ultra cautious. Why? They want to make their jobs easier, and they don't want CEOs to like push limits on that. So it'll be somewhere in between. Like it seems like they really want to find some ways to integrate OMI into the more VeVe things. I don't think Dan and Dave are going to leave OMI high and dry at all. I think it's going to be quite the opposite. And now that we have more regulatory clarity in the world, and it's going to even more of that, I think we'll see more like hopefully some integration in the future with OMI into VeVe. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, I love VeVe, but so what? OMI's like the redheaded stepchild. And it's like, it feels like that now. Why do you think the token price is so low? And you see that as a bad thing. I like low. I like to buy low. And then as these things get more integrated, and then it doesn't seem like the redheaded stepchild, and it was like, oh, he's the best. Oh my gosh. Well, that is no longer time to buy. When that problem is fixed and it seems like OMI is so integrated, oh my gosh, VeVe and OMI, they're hand in hand. In fact, tons of people are buying VeVe because they've already bought OMI, which is what 2021 was about. In an altcoin bull run, OMI goes crazy, and then you'll have a lot of people buying VeVe stuff because they hold the OMI token. That'll happen again. That's time to sell OMI, not be buying more. But yet, some of you will do that wrong. So why? Because our emotions drive a lot of our behavior, and as a savage investor, you learn how to feel your emotions. Just don't do what the hell your emotions are telling you to do.
Agreed. There's going to be plenty of time to well, I was going to say plenty of time to sell, not so much time to buy. Well, at least down here. And again, we don't know what happens with Bitcoin. We don't know what happens with midterms. We don't like. At some point, I think you reach where Bitcoin and ETH go crazy, and then obviously alts follow. But for David and Dan, if they weren't incentivized before to make OMI pump with their 30 billion OMI each, now they have a public company where they're going to have, and they could call it whatever they want. They don't have to address it, but they are going to have OMI on their balance sheet. That's on their business development wallet. 15 billion, maybe like I don't know, like less than 2 million. But you can be damn sure they're super incentivized now for it to pump because they get to double dip. They get to have their personal holdings grow, and then also the company of which they're majority owners grow as well. So obviously, as the value of OMI goes up, not just their personal crypto holdings, but so does the public company of which they are majority owners. So if they weren't incentivized before, you'd be damn sure they are now. And I can't wait to see what they do for it. I bet you they'll be fairly vocal about it. Maybe not right away, but I think at some point they will. In other news, we had VeVe was getting into movies. They had partnered with NFT Cursed Images. Did you get one of those, Rain?
Yes. So I got an emergency text. I'm having a deep conversation with my wife. She's sharing some really deep, intimate stuff. And like normally, like I will not look at text like emergency VeVe release. You got to log into the app right now. I'm like, baby, very bad timing in the conversation. 1 second. Log in. Bye. I need to buy this VeVe thing or need to get this VeVe thing now and stuff. I'll take the heat, but it's an emergency VeVe drop. I mean, there's priorities and then priorities, baby. I love you. My mission in life is priority number 1. My mission is make us rich. And so we can have a good life. My mission 2 is love my wife. And I know it's like, what? You put that above your wife? And it's like, well, as a man, I think it's mission and God first and your wife second. So that's just my priorities.
The I would just look to see, like, did I text that? I didn't text that, right?
No. Yeah, one of my good friends did, and I was like, oh, great, like, yes, thank goodness, like I would have missed it. So yeah, when you see that stuff, Randy, text me. Emergency text, be like 911. You gotta jump in there. Yeah,
good to know. So there's I don't know, is it on Modern Family? There's some show where this American guy, and it's not like a main part of the show, it's just one of the things that he does. He goes to like El Salvador or Colombia or one of these, you know, South American nations, and he goes to like these middle school or even elementary school like baseball games, and he kind of scouts for baseball players, and he looks at the best ones and he takes the best ones and he pays for, like, you know, like, to make sure they don't get in gang life, they don't get in whatever. It's like, hey, I'm going to pay for your rent, I'm going to pay for your whatever, because down there, you know, it's fairly cheap. I'm going to pay for you to get lessons. When you get an MLB contract, because they all come from South America and Central America, because they, unlike America where we have winter and you can't play baseball when it's freaking snowing. New York City got like 25 inches of snow the other day. Anyway, they can get a lot more practice down there. So he had gone on and basically farming these kids to become Major League Baseball players. And when they do get to the major leagues, he gets like 10% of everything they make, which turns out to be really good. Most of the kids don't make it, but some do. And if we're going to take a look at that, and in the same way that some people do that, I don't know if VeVe did this, but I found out on the podcast before, the creator of the NFT Cursed Images made this entire movie. It's a short 75-minute movie, but still decent. He made it for $20,000. Now, I don't know how much this is going to make. They're opening in LA, I think next week. If it does well, they open in New York, London, France. They do all this stuff, hoping it makes more than that. Now, if VeVe partnered with them just for the NFT stuff, it's really cool. And a side note of that, VeVe doesn't count just any random sign up as an active user. They have a lot of signups all the time. They only count an active user when they have at least one collectible in there. And the NFTs that we got, you can't sell. So all of the people that go in and they get this NFT, it counts as an active user because they have one in their wallet, and then they can't sell it. That is freaking brilliant. David Yu is my god to go and do that, and to say, like, because that's the theme of it. Oh, it's a cursed NFT. It haunts you. So he can go in under the guise of, yes, it's the theme of the movie. It haunts you as it haunts your vault. It haunts it, but now it counts as an active user, and freaking genius. Sorry. Anyway, I think that at some point, if they're gonna have so much money, like, it's not going to cost that much to be able to go. Like I said, this entire movie is made for 20 grand. What if David put that up and it's like, yeah, I'll put it up. I'll take 50% of the profits. Like, and you could do this across so many different movies, and not all of them are going to be good. Not all of them are going to be winners. But all you need is that one that goes and turns into like a franchise, and it gets picked up by Netflix and picks up by, Hulu, wherever. The ideas were just flowing before. And Rain, am I getting way too ahead of myself? Should VeVe focus on what it does best, not do these other things where it only has a chance to? Or is this like an insane idea? It's like, yes, they should absolutely do this.
Well, it's funny. There's not a ton of money in this space right now because, like, crypto is out of the narrative, but the narrative will come back, and you will see a flow of money and therefore ideas and further progression. So it makes me think of like hockey cards. So when I started collecting baseball cards, it was like 1990. In 1990, Donruss, they had started just printing off. It was a new wave. They had, for, I don't know what caused this, but a new wave of baseball card collectors. And so Walmart and all the major stores were buying huge amounts, and like it was like the in thing to do. And so because they were printing so many of them, the scarcity was like not there. So like 1990 Donruss cards are worth probably less today than they were how many years ago? What, 36 years ago. So there's no scarcity there. However, if you'd gone 10 years prior, the scarcity in 1980s cards was quite a bit higher. And so therefore the values have done a lot better. And some of that is just a wave of adoption. But in 1991 or something, like hockey cards, my friend was trying to explain to me, hockey cards haven't caught on yet. Hardly anyone's buying them. They're super scarce. Even if you don't like hockey, buy them. They're going to go up in value. And those things have gone up like 100x. And it's like, but I didn't get that principle yet. So it's like, okay, digital collectibles haven't caught on yet. So the scarcity is, just by the nature of it, way, way higher than people realize, because there will come a time where this demand for these early years vastly exceeds the supply, and price goes up tremendously on these. As well as new ideas will come in this space. Like right now, we're in the early stage of like digital collectibles. So we're seeing some successes with digital cards going on. I guess, what is it called? Pinnacle has like digital baseball cards. We've seen NBA Top Shots and NFL All Day and UFC Strike. NBA Top Shots was like one of the only other collectible NFT projects online before the 2021 bull run happened. And it saw like 100 to 200x increase in price of their cards during that time. VeVe had a similar thing. The Todd McFarlane Batman went from 80 gems in the shop to a $16,000 price, which is a 2,000 or 200x up. So incredible gains. And so some of these ideas, like we're only seeing the beginning of it. Like it's early stage. We're going to see all kinds of maybe movie collectibles. So say some big movie comes out and then they partner with VeVe to do like 5,000 NFTs, you know, and 1,000 are secret rare or whatever. And you get a version of the movie that you can watch on your VeVe app or whatever. Like, I don't know how this will going to go, but remember, they're number one as far as digital collectible apps in a space that is just still early days. So we'll have another wave of money coming in if they can survive till the bull run happens. I think that bull run happens way sooner than everyone is thinking. And all this money then comes into crypto and the space, and all these new collectors just come in like crazy with this new wave. And new money comes in and new ideas come in. And because there's so much money there, they can explore these new ideas.
I think so too. I think we get a lot more people come in just on the eyes that they go public. They might ring in the bell at NASDAQ. That'd be really cool. And yeah, once we find out like, hey, who's the largest shareholders here, who's actually like, it's not just going to, and again, we have some incredible people in the VeVe community, and a lot of them are super successful. Maybe 1 or 2 billionaires. But when you have, like, I'm very curious to see who buys a bunch of the VeVe shares, and to be able to say like, oh, okay, these people actually have to go in and put this filing in because they believe in VeVe so much, and it's not going to be, and I don't want to say that a lot of people in the VeVe community are nobodies, but you're going to have some people that everyone knows that are probably going to buy VeVe shares, and I can't wait for that. Just the justification of that, the vindication, like, hey, you have these people buying, it must be good. Very, very excited for that as well. We have some comments here about P Splint saying they need to do more drops at less than 200 mints, get the hype up and raise mints as we get more users. Said I prefer to lose out on a drop and to get one that loses value instantly. I mean, if you're a person that likes to go for drops specifically for the flip, picture yourself like a baseball hitter. But instead of baseball, like when you have 2 strikes, you have to swing at one a strike, or even a pitch that's close, that's on the corner. Now with VeVe, again, you basically, you cannot strike out. You can only hit yourself out. You can only swing, and then you can, pop out. So if you think that you might lose money on a drop, like, you don't have to swing. You don't have to go for it. You can wait for the drops. They're like, okay, yeah, this I'm going to make money. So I understand that those kind of don't come out that often. But if that's what you want, I mean, you can choose to go for them. You can choose to not go for a lot of these other drops. And also the company has to make money. If you have 200 mints on something, it's probably not going to make much money. Rain, what are your thoughts?
I'm with him that I love the high scarcity stuff. I love that, because scarcity is part of what drives value. If you have scarcity combined with high desirability, but unfortunately, in some ways, VeVe's been more successful, and so they have a big audience. So for them to do a 200 drop thing is going to be almost never happen. Why? Because the demand so vastly exceeds that. They could do that if they charge a good price, like $200 a piece or $500 a piece. But yeah, I don't know if it would make sense for them to do. Do I love that kind of stuff? Especially if I'm lucky enough to end up getting one? Yes, I love it. I like scarcity. So I like some of the comics, the newer comics that there's a 1,000, or say there's 3,000 of them, but if they're Marvel and they don't sell out within 30 days, they burn the remaining edition. So some of them only 1,200 sell. And so even though there's supposed to be 3,000, there's only 1,200 that actually got minted. So I like situations like that. I'm cool. Some of these newer comics, you don't know, are they going to be popular down the road? They're new comics. We don't know what everyone's going to like, but if they have something really cool about them, sometimes I take a chance on those because they're so scarce, and scarcity combined with high desirability. The factor I don't know is the desirability. In the future, how desirable will these be versus the alternatives? I'm kind of guessing on that, but the scarcity is then known. 1,200 mints in the future will be extremely low compared to how many people are in VeVe. And if it ends up being highly desirable, the price on that will go crazy. Even some of these things, like the Amazing Spider-Man #1 with 70,000 mints, it does not seem scarce at all right now. Everyone in VeVe that's active can buy those, can buy 5 of those, and it would impact the price some. But that's everyone who's active in VeVe during this bear market. Imagine 25 years from now, how many people are active in VeVe if digital collectibles take off and VeVe is just somewhere near the top at the digital collectibles apps. Yeah, there will be millions and millions of people using the app, and so even 70,000 will seem scarce.
Yeah, and a lot of what I've been doing on my lives is just finding value. Okay, if you have a secret rare, that's going for $1,200, and the common's going for, let's say the ultra rare is going for 40. Okay, that's a 30x. And then if another secret rare is going for 1,200, but the ultra rare is going for 80, okay, it's a 15x, and it's okay, you get to see the patterns and the values. Okay, this one happens to be it's a much let's say 10 to 15x is a normal. You get one that's 30x. Okay, that's a really big gap. So then you can go in and say there's probably some value there. And it doesn't matter what the price of the secret rare is. It matters the differential and the multiple that it is of the ultra rare. Same thing with the common to the rare or the common to the secret rare, et cetera, et cetera. You can find those patterns. And also at the end of the day, a lot of I don't always buy the S tier ones. I mostly buy the A and B tier ones because the money hasn't flown there yet. Everyone's focused on Tales of Suspense 39. They're focused on the X-Men #1, Journey into Mystery 83. Those are the big S tier ones, and the lesser ones would be Avengers #1, Giant Size X-Men, maybe Incredible Hulk #181. But that's where the majority is, and some of it had kind of gone to the A tier comics, according to Sleeping Comics, using his tier list. but not all of it. So I stacked up on Strange Tales 110, and then the B tiers, really not a lot of money has gone there. The only money that had gone there, because a lot of those had 30,000 editions, was people that bought it in 2022 when there was a lot more people. And how many of those are in accounts where they're not coming back and they're locked up? And again, some of these B tier comics that I'm getting for under $1, I'm not expecting them to go to $20 right away or even at all. But I think I expect them to go to $5 in the next year. And again, when talking about crypto, 5x is like, okay, well, don't you think OMI can do like a 50, 100x? Like, yes, I do. But this is fun. OMI, you buy and you hold, and that's cool. I'll do that all day, but it's a little boring. I mean, it's fun, but it's a lot more fun to try to find value in these other undervalued comics. So that's again, when it's fun and I'm having fun doing it, like genuinely, there's other people that I know I represent in that aspect as well. I forget what we were talking about. I just went on around.
Digital comics, like the fact that they have all these Marvel's license, right, and they're doing all these things, like this is a really big deal. Like even when it came out, like I didn't know how the market would approach it, but like what's funny is like everyone was trying for the secret rares, and so people were buying a bunch, and if they got commons, they would just turn around and sell them for way cheaper than the drop price, so they could try to buy some more or sell their commons so they could buy a secret rare on the market or something. And so I was picking up all these Marvel comic #1 for like $3. And, you know, they went to like 800 in January of 2022, like crazy appreciation numbers. And they went to 800 back then. Like, so that was the first bull run. Where are we going following bull runs? Like, I think a lot of people haven't realized what a big deal these digital versions of the comics are. Because like there's a scarcity thing. There's also a physical thing that, like, sure, if you're a Saudi prince, you can buy whatever comics you want. You can get them from the US. You can fly them on your private jet back to your home in Dubai or whatever. And, you know, shipping isn't even a concern because you can just fly out to the US and pick them up yourself. But outside the US, like, comics can't really be sold because you can't put them through a lot of mail systems. Now, you can DHL them and it'll get there pretty secure to a lot of countries. But some countries, like, all your mail gets sometimes taken, especially if it's something of value. And so the fact that you have this digital version that can transfer to anywhere in the world is a really big deal. And so these digital comics in the future are like, this is the future of comics. And Marvel has jumped on this right with their partnership with VeVe. I think these are going to be a really big deal in the future, like a gigantic deal. And some of the stuff that will have value is, like, I think Tales of Suspense 39 is going to do really good. The first appearance of Iron Man. Right now, floor price of $28. In the future, what I think this does, amazing over this. But also some of these ones that are just random, like 1,000 mints or 3,000 mints, that like is a new comic in the last 2 years that launched on VeVe the same time they launched their actual comics. Some of these will end up being a big deal. And they'll be so scarce that you'll get scarcity and desirability, and they'll go to like $10,000 from their, say, $2 or $3 price now.
Agreed. And like I said, I'm just having fun with the B tier ones, but a lot of the B tiers, let's say like Young Avengers, like that came out 20 years ago. Like Spider-Man had been out for 60 plus years. But Young Avengers, you have Hulkling, you have Wiccan, you have Kate Bishop, all in that one. And I was like maybe none of those characters ever make it really big. I know Kate Bishop's already in the MCU, but maybe none of those characters make it that big. Maybe it's you know, they've had their peak already, and it's all downhill from here. Cool, that's a gamble, and I'll take that gamble at 84 cents. Same thing with the, you know, all new Marvel Now .1, Kamala Khan. She's even younger. Only having resurfaced, I think, in 2014. But again, her stuff at $1. I'll take that bet. And, you know, it might not work out. There could be like Spider-Boy might be, like, I don't have any of him, but that could be, it seems to be already super popular. So we'll see. 14 F9, saying a lot of fun going on. We that we already had a bull run 2025. We're back to massive bear market. I don't believe a thing they say. I think we're honestly going to massively pump this year. Trump is actually doing his speech right now. Only at 2.5 cents would be dope. So we'll have to see what happens. I mean, we don't know. Like, I'm privileged. I'm in a position where I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but we could have another 3-4 years of bear market. We might have to wait until you get a Democrat in office and the corruption goes crazy. They turn on the money printers and wait for the money to get back in the economy. And then it goes up. I don't know. If you have a Dem-controlled House and they don't want to let Trump do anything, they don't pass the Clarity Act because they want to take credit for it, and we have to wait another 2.5 years, 3 years. I can wait. I'm okay with that, and that gives me more time to accumulate wealth over these next few years, so I could just buy more. I'll have 10 billion OMI by that point. If we have to wait 3 years, cool. I mean, not cool, but I know most, even the people that are here right now, if we have to wait 3 more years, I know, even though most people have shaken out already, those people shake out too. But again, as long as the thesis of the companies behind these crypto projects, again, like VeVe, again, we have Definity, we have DEVVE, Fias, we can sit here all night talking about all of them. But as long as they're making money, they're continuing to acquire licenses, and they're just a behemoth, I see no reason for me to not stack OMI, VeVe shares, collectibles, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I like it. This is just early stage business investment, and like, it's risky, and it's too risky of a space for some people. They're just not emotionally ready to handle this, because especially within the crypto space, the price is very volatile, and some people cannot take the emotional roller coaster. And it's just like, bro, this ain't the space for you. You're way too emotional about it. Like, you have to take the long-term view and realize that in the short term, it might look like you're punishingly wrong. And in the long term, you might be very right. Imagine if you had bought Amazon in 2001 and for 6 years, it looked like you were wrong, but you just held on. And then, it ended up going 100x up over the next 15 years from what you bought it. Well, you had to be prepared for 6 years, everyone to like tell you how stupid you were, and you to wonder if they were even going to survive, as they just bled red ink month after month after year after year after year. And it's like, no, we'll survive someday. You watch, we'll make it. And it's like, it doesn't look like you're going to make it. And they did, and they became a behemoth, a giant. And so now everyone's like, yeah, I would have invested in Amazon in the early days. It's like, maybe you would have, and you would have sold when everyone else sold too. And you would have lost money on them. It's like, the only people that made money aren't the ones that bought in 2001. It's the ones that bought and held, because most bought and sold, and they lost money on it. And I see people do that in crypto all the time. It's like, oh my gosh, VeVe, OMI, it's so stupid. I got out of that a year ago. And it's like, cool. Good luck to you. Someday, I think you will massively regret that decision.
I think so too. Wait 3 more years, but man, that hurts, especially double bear market. Just don't see that.
He's describing the general sentiment. The fact that everyone now feels like what is going to happen, I'm telling you, because it feels that way to everyone, it's not going to play out that way. That's just what I've seen in crypto. Like, I know I pick up patterns, right? And the big thing, like, I thought logically it made sense that 2025 would be quite big for crypto. But what was gnawing at me is everyone is expecting that. And I did say that sometimes on my channel. I'm like, my one concern is that everyone's expecting it to do well this year. And like, it usually doesn't happen when everyone's expecting it. Sure enough, it didn't. Now the sentiment has reversed completely. And like, as many, whatever percentage it was that was sure the crypto run was going to happen in 2025, now it's like the opposite. So it's like, it might've been 85% or 90 or 93% that were like, yes, 2025 is going to be amazing for crypto. Now it's like 7%. They're like, wow, 2026 is going to be amazing for crypto. And I would much rather be in that position there.
Same. My back is hurting, and I was going to go watch the Trump speech. Do we have anything left before we depart on our time together here?
Amazing seeing you guys. I think it's going to be an amazing year. It doesn't feel like that right now. we will see how it plays out. It's really like my strategy is I just dollar cost average at low prices. I don't know where the bottom's going to be. I just continue to evaluate. Is it going to, how do they have runway that they can continue to survive? And is it way underpriced in my opinion? And then I buy, and then I just wait, kind of put it out of my mind, forget about it, and I just wait. And that system works amazingly well.
Again, back to basics, like, are companies making money? Are they growing? Are they at least, like, ask yourself those questions.
Do they have a runway? How long can they survive? Oh, they're making money, so indefinitely. Oh, that's a good situation. Okay.
There's we got some haters over there, and yeah, if you bought OMI years ago, you're in deep. If you dollar cost average, you're still in deep, but it's not that bad. And also, again, me and Rain are luckily we're in these positions, and we worked for it, but we're in positions where it can go to zero and not really going to negatively affect our life that much. But obviously, we're still doing this show. We're still very, very bullish on it. And this is why we DCA. This is why we, again, I can only speak for me and Rain. I can't speak for anyone else out there what y'all should do. But this has been good. Everyone, my bad.
Y'all are grown-ups. Y'all get to make your own decisions for yourself and be responsible for those decisions. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're just sharing with you what we're doing.
Yes, agreed. Bye, Dashi. I'll catch you all later.
See y'all.